Okay, this is for my variation on a tuna niçoise salad. I get compliments every time I make this salad, and it's just about the best salad. So let me go through the list of ingredients. These little teeny tiny waxy yellow potatoes. They cook up really super fast, and I'll show you how I prep those. You've got to get the good expensive tuna. Just trust me on this. Get it in olive oil. And I prefer not to have lemon or pepper flavoring, just the good chunks of tuna. And you can get it an organic version of this. However, get the big slabs of tuna. It makes a difference. It's worth the price. Just, think about if you were going out, what would the price per serving be? And then that helps you justify the cost of this tuna. Now, it's not as expensive if you're overseas in Italy or in Jordan, where I was before. But here in the US, it is a little pricey. Anyway, so tuna, yellow potatoes, tuna, small can of sliced black olives, preferably Spanish olives. We'll use probably about 6 to 8 of these quartered, just little tiny multicolored, yummy snack tomatoes. We'll use at least the juice from half a lemon, and that's critical. That plus the olive oil in here is your salad dressing, plus salt and pepper. Something crunchy like cucumber or carrot, and then your mix of really healthy greens. So few leaves of spinach, a few leaves of kale, not a ton of kale, just some. Your couple of colors of leaf lettuce. I don't use romaine. There's just been too many food recalls on that, so I use these. And then it's really absolutely best, and it makes me sad that this is in plastic, but this particular lettuce that's grown completely clean inside of a pesticide-free greenhouse. I mean, it hasn't been exposed outside. It's not leathery. It's not bitter like some of those field-grown lettuces are. This is crisp, crunchy, sweet, light, and it makes the absolute best salad. So that, some fresh green beans. I won't use this whole bag. You'll see about how many I use as I'm preparing these. And we'll work on the potatoes and the green beans first, because we throw those into a pan, start with just a little bit of water covering them, boil those up so that they're ready when the rest of the salad is ready. So fresh green beans. If you don't have fresh green beans, fresh baby asparagus is also absolutely lovely in this salad. And that is the list of ingredients. All right, so I have rinsed off the amount of green beans and potatoes that I'm going to use for this recipe. Because the green beans are starting to look a little brown in places, I added more green beans than I normally do, because I have a feeling I'm going to be tossing some of these out. The important thing with both of these, they're going to cook in separate pans, so they need to be prepped in sizes that will cook very, very quickly. So let me just show you what size, and then I'll turn off the camera as I prep all the rest of them. But these potatoes need to be prepped down about this size, pretty small. So all of those potatoes would be prepped. They will be put into the pan and covered with water and put on a medium to medium-high heat, just to boil, just to get them good and soft. And that only takes 5-10 minutes, something along that line. So that's the size for the potatoes. And for the green beans, you know, they take a little bit more prep, making sure they're clean and there's no brown spots. I get the ends off of them. And then they need to be a comfortable bite size. Otherwise, if you put a whole green bean like this in a salad, it's awkward to eat. So generally speaking, I cut them to this size. For these green beans, it's in thirds. And again, once I've got the potatoes on and the heat on, I rapidly get these done, put them in the pan, get the heat on. I think the potatoes take slightly longer than the green beans, but in either case, you want them cooked enough to be very pleasant to eat. Maybe with a little bit of bite left in the green bean, definitely soft with the potato, and that is how we prep those. Okay, so I have the potatoes done. They're on the burner. I have it just above medium high. And I like just a little pinch of salt. Okay, let's get a salad bowl in. I want to show you just a little bit of technique. So it's important that the kale, even though it's chopped and washed, you may want to rinse it again, just out of an abundance of caution, which is not bad. Sometimes it just may be the difference between you eating a salad or ordering fast food, in which case, you know, might be worth taking a little risk. So we don't use that much kale. This much is plenty for a salad. And let me see if you can see, if I turn the camera down, how much I'm getting. What's important with kale is that it get squeezed and bruised because you want it to be pleasant to eat. It'll still be crunchy. Kale is pretty robust when it comes to that. This chopped kale isn't quite as fine as I want it to be, so I'll run a knife through it again. And then I'll put it in the bowl and I will cover it with another pinch or two of salt. For prepping my vegetables, I use a coarse, well, not too coarse, I mean, it's your normal, oh gosh, kosher salt. So you want to do this first in your bowl. Get this kale in there, get the salt over it, so that salt also helps to start softening that up and pulling some of the bitterness out. It's weird how it works, but I just use, you know, a pinch or two, sprinkle it over, make sure it's covered, and I let that sit there. So it's vegetables into the boiling water, and once they're boiling, of course, turn them down to simmer. Then kale in the salt, and then the rest of it kind of comes together the way a normal salad would come together. So next up, we're going to make sure that all of our rinsed greens and tomatoes are dry, and then we'll chop those up, put them in the bowl, and I will show you the next steps after that. Another prepping tip that I highly recommend is when you're using spinach that you've had to wash, even if you haven't had to wash it, but I recommend washing your spinach. Remove the stems. The stems have a tendency to be a little woody. They don't have that nice, delicate kind of bite in your mouth that the leaf does. So I just get rid of the stems. I had a bad experience once with an airport salad. It was at a pretty famous spot too. I won't name names, but the spinach salad was almost entirely spinach stems. It was crazy, just and in my opinion, especially for the name of the spot, just unacceptable. Anyway, so we've got all of our leaves and our tomatoes laid out, and we're gonna make sure that they are dry. Now, you may prefer to use a salad spinner, and if that gives you the results that you want, do it. I have used a salad spinner in the past, and I always seem to come back to just this simple method of just pressing them dry. Now, I'll be honest with you, I don't use paper towels for anything else. And this is about the only use case I've got where I feel like, yeah, I can justify using paper towels usually. I like to be sustainable, and I like to use towels. So now that those are dry, I'm going to stack them up, and I'm going to chop through the centers, because the centers, they're good for you and they're good to eat, but that's just the way leaves are held together. That center spine just needs to be broken down a little bit to be a little bit more pleasant. So I gather it all up into a big, huge pile, make it almost like a big sandwich. And if there's a little bit of water left, I don't sweat it. It really doesn't negatively impact this salad. So it doesn't need to be bone dry, it just needs to be mostly dry. So right down the center, and that gets most of those stems. And then I like to roll it up. It's okay if it gets a little bruised, because you're going to serve this immediately. It's not like it's going to be in the fridge for a long time. And then you're just going to slice through all of those leaves so they're a really pleasant size in your mouth. No big leaves that you have to stuff in there. No difficulty getting it on your fork. This really is pleasant. When I was growing up in home ec, we were told never ever run a knife through your lettuce. It all needs to be torn by hand and all of that. But since we use so many different leaves and they have so many different textures, we're at that point where running a knife through it is helpful. So this goes on top of that salted kale, and the little bit of moisture that's in here does help that salt dissolve and do some more work in the salad. So this is it's kind of a funny little technique. I believe I got this technique from a chef. I don't know which one. I watched them, and I really love the service that these professional chefs give us when they're sharing their recipes. Next up, I'm going to have a little bit of this nice, sweet, tender lettuce to go with my field greens. And there we go. It's open, and I don't need many. I just a couple to lighten it up, and that is more than enough. The rest of this keeps so beautifully. I cannot tell you how long this particular product lives in the refrigerator. I mean, it doubles, triples the life of produce, and it really becomes very cost effective. And if it's getting people happy about salad again, and just making you crave salad, this is that kind of a salad. You literally crave this salad. I have one other salad that people absolutely crave, and I will do a video on that the next time I make that as well. So something crunchy. If you don't have carrots, like I don't have carrots right now, but I have an English cucumber, just kind of tic-tac-toeing this cucumber and then slicing will make the perfect amount of crunch in there. So I have to be careful because this last little bit gets a little tricky. Please don't follow my knife skills. I don't have fabulous chef's knife skills. I try. You want safety. Now the last but not least is these very tasty tomatoes. These are not like those, mealy, flavorless tomatoes that sometimes you can run across in the store. These are good and worthwhile. So I like the little serrated knife to prep these tomatoes with, and I like to do it long ways twice so that they're quartered, but they're never cut in half. They're cut long ways, and that's because, I mean, it has nothing to do with taste. I just like how they look in the salad better than little tomato rounds. So they're fast, they're easy to prep. I will go ahead and come back once I've prepped those, gotten them in the bowl, and I'll show you what happens next with the olives, the fresh lemon juice, and the tuna. Okay, so next up is drain. I know we don't have enough light for you to see that, but I threw the sliced black olives in here to drain them, just that whole little can. Now I'm putting in, you can see the potatoes are done. I tried one, they're perfect. I put that in next because we want that fully drained. And then, last but not least, the green beans, and I throw that in. So we let those drain really well. And I just let them sit in the colander. I shake the colander to make sure they're draining really well. And I am ready for the next piece of this. And it's the last part of it, and it's what makes the salad just so easy and so yummy. So we open up the tuna, and it's in olive oil. So I don't have to add my own olive oil. This is the perfect amount for a dressing. So I just dump the whole thing in the bowl. I know, it's crazy. I was very nervous the first time I did this. This is a salad, salad recipe that I developed myself based on different techniques that I know. And I was like, well, why waste this olive oil that has the flavor of tuna and replace it with, plain olive oil? It doesn't make sense. So that is the first step. The second step is, instead of balsamic vinegar or any other type of vinegar, you use fresh lemon juice. And I'll tell you, just makes your heart sing. You could just cry and expat to Italy, let me tell you. So I use an old-fashioned, you can pick these up for very little money. They're easy to clean. They go right in the dishwasher. And I picked this one up at a thrift store. It's that easy. I don't want plastic. I want good old-fashioned glass, and want it to be as healthy as possible. It's really hard to get plastics and microplastics out of your food chain, but this is one step towards that. Now there's a whole bunch of seeds that get in here, so you want to kind of catch the seeds either with a spoon or your finger, clean finger please, and just kind of go through, pour it in, and should be able to get most of the seeds. Some little seeds might get past you. If you want to, there's been times when I have made a really big salad, had a lot of lemon juice, and I have just used a strainer over a measuring cup and made sure that I caught all that pulp and all the seeds because I was serving it to company. Since I'm serving it to me, a little tiny seed here and there I'm going to be okay with. So that's the dressing. We're going to put the warm ingredients on top. That also seems kind of weird, doesn't it? The reality is, in the winter, I don't feel like a cold salad. I have all kinds of aversion to just a crazy cold salad in the winter. So I like this because it doesn't wilt the lettuce, doesn't do anything except make everything kind of warm and yummy, and you still get the crunchy lettuce and kale. I'm putting freshly ground sea salt on top, and the last thing that really is important is freshly ground black pepper. I wouldn't go crazy with any pink salt or pink peppercorns, or those are for something else. They're not for this. This is just a good family loved recipe. Now, to make it servable, of course, you've got to get your salad tongs and toss it so that everything is covered with that great flavor. It also disperses the tuna because you're going to break the tuna up a little bit. So it's just these flakes, and let me give you a sense of what it starts to look like. You keep going all the way down to the bottom and tossing, and like I said, break up those planks of tuna, or shards, I don't know what they're calling those these days, until you get this salad. Everything's got the dressing on it. The kale is up from the bottom and mixed in so that you're not getting a big mouth of kale. You're getting just this beautiful blend that reminds you of a French Nicoise salad. You've got these beautiful tomatoes and fresh food, and this is a hearty salad. It'll do it. Obviously, if you serve it with a side of sourdough bread or a roll, so much the better. So this is what the salad looks like. My mom has a very good portion of salad, and when she gets to the table, we will see what her reaction is. Lord, thank you so much for this food. Amen. Amen. All right, I want to capture what you think of the salad. You've had it before, but I know that sometimes it seems brand new to you. So I wanted to see how you feel about this tuna niçoise version.
All right. It's yummy. Yummy.
It's yummy, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.